The Freddy's name has been associated with many failed pizzerias and subpar licensed associates over the years, with the brand itself marred by death, decay, and disastrous marketing campaigns. But Freddy's had one success, and that would be none other than Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex, a giant entertainment megaplex with go-karts, laser tag, mini-golf, movies, games, prizes, shows, and plenty of pizza. With so much fun and excitement around every corner, not to mention top-of-the-line animatronics ready to rock out on stage, you might never want to leave. So what if you didn't? And no, I don't mean in a die and haunt the place sort of way. I'm talking about the age-old pastime known as the overnight challenge. Except instead of staying one night, what about staying there permanently? I'm talking about sneaking into the fantastical oversized indoor amusement park known as the Mega Pizzaplex and living in it while the security guard and staff are none the wiser. Is it possible? Well, I think so. But if you're thinking about trying something this risky, then you're going to need help. And thus, I present to you this guide to surviving living in the Pizzaplex. Today, we will be going over where to stay, where to avoid, where to sleep, what to eat, and what to do when you are inevitably cornered by one of the mini animatronics. It'll be a blast. I do not condone the illegal trespassing or guarantee safety by adhering to the guide. By listening to this audio, you've waived any right to sue for damages or injuries accrued during your illegal trespassing. Now, before we start, let's establish a few things. First, I am assuming that you are an adult, and will be giving this guide as if you are one. See, being an adult is basically playing life on hard mode. Not only are you at a risk of getting yourself killed or maimed, but if you're caught, you may also be sent to jail, and that can haunt you for the rest of your life. Imagine trying to buy a car and having the dealership be like, "Oh, sorry, there's a flag on your credit on behalf of the Fazbear Monetary and Funding Branch of Fazbear Entertainment due to you breaking into a location 5 years ago. Guess you're out of luck. Also, you owe them $250,000, which you just confirmed you would pay by having us run a credit check on you." You are sneaking into the Pizzaplex and trying to live there as long as humanly possible, without getting caught. So what you need for survival is a place to sleep, food to eat, water to drink, and also a way to bathe and keep yourself clean and in good health. Comfort is preferable but not required. Not getting crushed by an animatronic is absolutely required. So let's begin. First, let's briefly cover how you may get into the Pizzaplex. I do not recommend trying to break in after hours as the place locks up tight. The best way to get in is during the day, even if you must pay to do so, and then just hiding out in the Pizzaplex until it starts to close. There's plenty of photo booths, corners, and cubbies, and closets you can likely hide in. Due to the deficiency in human staff, especially at night, as long as you stay out of any area with high traction, you shouldn't have a hard time. One possible place to hide would be the parking garage, but note that the shutter for the garage seems to lock at night, so you would have to either find out a way to open it before you get locked in there, or find another way through. Considering that the parking garage somehow connects with the deep basement, there likely is another way into the Pizzaplex from it, but it might take you into some unsavory places. Wherever you stay, you will have to hide until midnight. Once midnight comes, the shutters will lower over the front doors and you are in the clear, in a sense. Now let's get into the locations throughout the Pizzaplex. Part 1, Locations. I will mention which animatronics will likely appear in which locations, but I'll go more in depth with them later on in their own individual sections, such as the staff bots, which there are plenty of throughout the entire Pizzaplex. Let's begin with the lobby. The lobby is the entranceway into the Pizzaplex and houses Glamrock gifts, a locker room, the Faz-Pad cafe, and the kitchen connected to it. The area can be tight in spots and does have a plethora of patrolling staff bots located by the fountain, and on the second floor in the Faz-Pad and in the upper gift shop. This, along with the many windows and the closeness to the lost and found, which the security guard seems to frequent, makes the area a little more risky. However, on a normal night, there isn't much Glamrock activity here, and the kitchens are a point of interest, which we'll get back to during the food section. The closest bathrooms are located down the Daycare hallway, which is nearby, but you will need a pass to access, so you might get locked out. There is basement access for a quick escape, but there's a reason you don't want to go down there. The lobby is an alright spot to visit, but don't hang out there too long, and absolutely do not set up sleeping quarters that close to the entrance. Next up is the Atrium, the gateway to the Pizzaplex. Every attraction is accessible from the Atrium through either a door, shutter, or elevator. It's big and glossy, covered in neon lights and sprinkled with fake palms and the occasional couch or bench, leading to there, in theory, being plenty of places to rest. But the biggest problem with the Atrium is that the only place not tightly patrolled by the staff bots are the center floor, right within the line of sight of anything that wanders out of anywhere, unless you hide in a photo booth, which you probably won't want to. And yes, any animatronic who wants to get to their attraction will have to pass through the Atrium to get there, so it gets a bit of traction. Located in the Atrium are a few sections of interest: the entranceways to Fazer Blast, Monty Golf, and Roxy Raceway, to name a few. The last one isn't currently finished. The entrance to the kitchens, where a surplus of food may be located, though cooking out in the Atrium of all places is a quick way to get sniffed out by Glamrock Chica. There's also the Kids' Cove play area, which contains a hiding spot that might make for a good shelter in the ship, but being right beside the daycare entrance and being open to anyone looking down from the walkway above, it's not as secluded as you would hope. Passing through the Atrium will be necessary, but it's in your best interest that you don't really spend too much time there beyond that. You can hide, but you won't be able to have much security. Rockstar Row is located behind the stages and is where the Glamrocks have their green room enclosures. You can look through the glass and see nicely decorated rooms with plush couches and pillows, and on the outside there's a whole museum area dedicated to the history of Freddy's. It's pretty neat. Rockstar Row is one of the most dangerous places in the Pizzaplex. That is, if you consider getting caught by a 6 to 7 foot animatronic that weighs hundreds of pounds to be dangerous, which I do. There's a few sparse places to hide, but it's simply not enough in these close quarters. The only chance you get is huddling in a closet in the hall leading out of Rockstar Row, and that's best for emergencies only. So I would again not recommend putting a shelter here. Moving on, Fazer Blast is a laser tag attraction. The place is lit in low neon and has space-themed music playing over the speakers at all times, which gives a nice calm aesthetic. The lobby is loaded with circling staff bots, but does have access to bathrooms and to a secluded security office. The arena is much more spacious, made of colorful walls surrounding leveled platforms. Unfortunately, staff bots assigned to play laser tag seem to constantly patrol the area. It's unclear if they automatically activate when you enter, but it's not a risk worth taking. Unless, see, because this place is automated, you could technically play laser tag alone at night with these guys, and maybe even get a Fazer Blaster out of it. You just can't sleep in here or they'll roll over you. And the whole section between the lobby and arena is not only very automated, but doesn't have anywhere to so much as sit, save the little theater where you get taught the rules of the game, which being automated likely means they would detect when you don't leave this room. The only possible place that would maybe make for a good base is the Winner's Lounge. With more comfy couches and a neat view of the arena, the place seems perfect as a hideaway. The only caveats being that first, you have to win the game to get up there, and second, that you'd have to clean up every time you left so that morning staff didn't catch on to someone staying in there. Plus, there's a deranged vagrant living up in Bonnie Bowl, the security office, who has direct vent access to this room. The other issue is it being Glamrock Freddy's attraction, which means he likely comes down here. Now, Glamrock Freddy is certainly not the most aggressive Glamrock, but being caught by him could be an ordeal. I'll address how to handle him and his bandmates in the animatronics section. So, in short, Fazer Blast might seem like a nice place to visit, especially if you can get a Fazer Blaster, but not one to set up shop. Moving on to Bonnie Bowl, the bowling alley on the top floor, Bonnie Bowl is set with its own arcade, bathrooms, and ice cream shop diner in it, so most of your major needs can be sated here. There are patrolling security bots, but they don't go down into the actual bowling floor, and you could probably outmaneuver them in the arcade. There's also diner bots at the counters. They may serve you, but it's not worth the risk to engage and have them maybe alert on you. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone, and then you can probably scavenge in the back. It is in there and down some stairs that the security office is located. But you don't even have to worry about the vagrant since the door to the security office has been blocked up. The diner tables are accessible and a good place to sit. There are again couches around, and you could even hunker down at the base of the stairs by the blocked door, if you really wanted to. Or, if it's not blocked, you can step behind the curtain of the small stage and down the hall to Bonnie's green room. Don't worry, he doesn't use it anymore. Assuming the staff mostly avoids this place, you can probably set up a nice little home in here, as the only other activity in the area might be from the pin-setting staff bots, who will likely ignore you. The only catch would be that the clatter of the bowling pins during the day would probably get annoying, and it would probably be very loud back here. And the possibility, of course, that this whole section is going to be renovated. They've been talking about removing Bonnie's branding, and likely the first thing they'll do is seal up this back room. And if that happens with you in it, you're looking at climbing out onto the bowling lane to escape at best, and getting a, Afton treatment at worst. If you know, you know. All in all, Bonnie Bowl seems to be a pretty safe place. The only risk is if something crawls up from the basement through the bowling lanes, but as long as you're not in the basement, you shouldn't lure anything up. Next up is the West Arcade, located alongside Bonnie Bowl. Now, this isn't your typical arcade. This is a huge multi-floor arcade with a dance floor, dozens of arcade cabinets, and even karaoke rooms. Karaoke rooms with soft couches, again, that the staff bots do not patrol into. Though there are plenty circling the arcade, but not too many to get around. The dim lights and smooth beat is a welcome escape in the Pizzaplex. One of the surprising highlights of the West Arcade is actually its back room, filled with various arcade cabinets no longer in use and not patrolled by any security bots. A possible location to set up a hiding spot base because, in all likelihood, the human staff probably doesn't regularly come back here. And it's so big that if they do, having a base hidden somewhere in the back tucked between some arcade cabinets might go without notice. There's also accessible bathrooms in the West Arcade, which is always a plus. And then there's the elephant in the room, the giant spider, who, depending on the day and the state of security, might be on your tail preparing to snatch you up like an action figure and then comes a giant fist, or on a normal day might just DJ and nap. Less than concerned with your presence. We'll have to tackle DJ Music Man on his own because he's an interesting character to encounter. On the whole, the West Arcade is surprisingly one of the most safe options to hang out in while hiding at the Pizzaplex, and might be a good place to set up a long-term base, especially if you set one up in that hallway. The DJ is the big deciding factor here, and I'll explain why later. For now, let's move on to the East Arcade, located also on the 3rd floor and separated from the West Arcade by the prize counter, which is actually worth mentioning since due to how they're set up, the East Arcade prize counter and L chips are pretty much all directly connected. But let's go over each one. The East Arcade is a little more claustrophobic than the West Arcade and has a lot more staff bots circling around. But the biggest issue is in a surprising place. Unless I'm remembering wrong, this is the only location in the Pizzaplex where security bots are actively patrolling the bathroom. And that is a huge problem because your immediate food source is El Chip's Mexican cuisine. This is absolutely the worst time to have to struggle to get to a bathroom and then have company while you're in there. There's couches again in the East Arcade, but they're pretty much in the center of the room, and between all of the mop and security bots, it's not going to be comfortable crashing in there. The connected security office is no better. This one usually locked since it's pretty much wide open, and apparently Glamrocks are more than willing to waltz in. On the whole, the East Arcade is much less impressive than the West Arcade, and El Chips doesn't help. The food there is automated and easy to make, but sure to lure in Chica with its spicier, stronger scent. There's nowhere really to hide in there either unless you hole up behind the kitchen door and hope for the best. Now, the third section would be the prize counter, one of the definite highlights of the Pizzaplex. Not exactly as comfy cozy as the 87 location, but certainly a highlight with its pink warm lighting and delightful piles upon mountains of plushies. The Pizzaplex line of plushies includes Freddy, Chica, Monty, Roxy, and the Sun and Moon, with DJ-themed plushies planned for a late fall release. These plushies are made of shimmery fabric that makes them a little less plush but absolutely eye-catching. They come in all sorts of sizes as well, such as small, medium, large deluxe, and super deluxe, the super deluxe being perfect to use as a cuddle buddy. Then there's the line of figures, which consists of the same characters, but the paint job can be a little off, such as in the Moon figure where the eyes are Sorry. Tangent aside. Directly connected to the Atrium in the East Arcade, the prize counter is a surprisingly safe location. There's few security bots patrolling, and the Glamrocks don't have much reason to come up here unless they already know you're there. There's plenty of plushies to use as a comfy bedding, or to make up for the lonely existence of a trespasser, clothes to borrow, snacks scattered around. There's even a bathroom in the East Arcade, though, like I said, company, and you have to hike a little ways to get there. In the back of the prize counter is a VIP section that's basically a more secluded seating area beside some counters and a fire exit. Due to how open it is, it's not a great place for a base, but an alright one for maybe a nap, just as long as you leave by morning. So, food, shelter, bathroom access, the prize counter is probably an okay place to ride out a night. But added with L-chips in the East Arcade, well, the prize counter is probably better on its own, but you will need to head into the East Arcade for the toilets. It is in your best interest to go behind the counter and get through to the security office, because that will significantly shorten your walk to the bathroom, which will also likely be your source of water too. So, not too shabby. The last spot up on the 3rd floor is Mazercise, the workout studio. Now, Mazercise is interesting because there's only one staff bot security guard inside. It is filled with shaped pillows to use, though they might smell a little. And there should be food inside. Usually there's an open buffet. Now that's not open at night, but there's a good chance there's likely snacks stashed somewhere around this buffet. And more importantly, a fountain drink stand front and center, free for you to use. There's even a little maze in the back. The maze itself is pretty simple, but it might be a good place to hide. I think you could probably set up a little hiding spot in the back and snooze there for a while, hopefully without anything finding you since you're so tucked away. The only catch being that you would have to pack up and leave before the place opens, because they do have exercise classes here, and if there's human instructors, which I assume so since there aren't any staff bot exercise instructors in here, they might notice someone sneaking out of the maze in the morning. Though if you wait until the class filled out, you might get out undetected. So, another good place to hang out. Though there's not much to do here, and there's a slight stank. And the constant flow of fizzy faz might give you some moderate hyperglycemia. But beneath Mazercise and down a hallway tucked away, there is Chica's Cupcake Shop, a delightful bakery hidden away from the Atrium. Now this place is crawling with staff bots. But once inside the bakery proper, you'll find a surplus of sugary delights to indulge on it to your heart's content. And prop food, don't eat that. If you bite into something and it tastes like plastic, spit it out. The only food that tastes like plastic at the Mega Pizzaplex is the pizza. The kitchen is in the back and even has its own little private bathroom and staff bot. Neat! And outside, there's a sitting area and a delightful cupcake factory display to fit with the theme. But there's one big caveat with having free food just sitting out. And that's Chica herself. In all likelihood, you're probably going to find Chica's Cupcake Shop entirely smashed up, and while it's not certain who does this, I guarantee Chica will probably show up there for the free samples. Between that and the tightness due to the patrolling staff bots, the Cupcake Shop isn't a fun time. Now, what about Monty Golf? Monty Golf is an interesting place because in theory it would be great. It's big, it has a nice swamp ambiance with low lighting and cool music, and even little fake fireflies. Might be a little humid, but the occasional water feature gives it a quaint feel. Staff bots are stuck to the pathways, so you could technically hop a railing and wade through a ball pit and be fine. There's even a few fake homes where you could, in theory, set up a cute little shelter. Such as Monty's trailer, which has a putting green running through it, so this is more of a rest area than anything permanent. And a small shack that would probably be more acceptable. There's nothing in it, it's a little wooden thing, but it is rather cute, if you can fit inside. You might have to move all your stuff out by morning, but I guess staff doesn't frequently poke around inside of it. There's accessible bathrooms by the front door. Gator Grub, a Monty-themed eatery, has a little kitchen where you can find food, and there's a back hallway with a secluded security office. It really is a nice place to chill out and waste some time while surviving. It sounds perfect, but unfortunately there's one problem, and that problem is Monty Gator. Unlike Freddy, who might go to Fazer Blast, Monty will absolutely be in Monty Golf. You just won't see him, because he'll be up on the catwalks. And he might not see you at first, but eventually he will, and he has legs of steel. He could very well hop down to your level and stride right up to you. So Monty Golf is a pipe dream that you will never achieve unless Monty's not a risk. Alas, Roxy Raceway is the same way. Roxy Raceway is a big, huge, desert-themed race car track with bumper cars and garage-themed party rooms, even having kiosks to buy food such as sushi, though I don't know why you would choose that here. It's almost like its own little world in the Pizzaplex. Sleep on the bleachers, raid the gift shop, drive around in a little car. Wait, no, don't do that. The sinkhole's getting a little soft again. Did I mention the bumper cars? And just down the road is the Glamrock Beauty Salon, and that's a literal road, by the way. Absolutely crawling with staff bots, but a good place to do your hair and nails if you feel like it. Why not give yourself a makeover, or dye your hair? At the beauty salon, you can reinvent yourself. You have no idea how something as simple as switching from pink to red lipstick will totally change your life. Plus, there's a little ball pit in the back where you might be able to briefly hide, but it is very loud, and later you'll see why that's a problem. There's bathrooms here too, and a small back room to maybe hunker down in for a little while. But both of these areas happen to belong to none other than Roxanne Wolf, and you better believe she will find you eventually, especially if you're trying to live in here. You might be able to squeeze in a visit or two, but as far as new homes are concerned, this ain't it. But is there any place more dangerous for you and your goals than Roxy Raceway? Yes, the Daycare. The Daycare is where dreams go to die. On the surface, the Daycare seems to be like the perfect place to hide out, as opposed to the last 2 or 3 places that I said looked perfect. A lot of places to hide in the play structure, a padded floor with numerous shaped pillows to nap on, bathrooms right within walking distance, a little arcade area, and a gift shop that probably has snacks in it, if not for the snacks left behind in the numerous party rooms. There's even the Fazbear Theater with its own loaded automated concession stand, low lights, and plenty of places to hide. You can even catch a show since the Comedy Bot and the Magician Bot play all night. They might not be hugely entertaining, but this is the first place in the Pizzaplex where there's actual entertainment that you don't have to make yourself. Then there's the basement, with rooms and areas dedicated to costume and makeup, which are much more secluded and quiet, and probably an easier place to set up a hidden hiding spot, like the hallway up in the West Arcade. As long as you get used to the bouncy music, the Superstar Daycare would be a great place to turn into your home inside the Plex. Or it would be, if not for the daycare attendant. We'll cover him, or them, later, but the daycare attendant is not only a huge problem in the Superstar Daycare, but he's the sort of problem that once you have it, it will continuously hound you for the rest of your stay. If he sees you, it's basically game over, or night-night forever, and you'll understand why soon enough. And even the theater isn't safe, since there's a door that leads directly into the daycare attendant's room, which you can't open, but he likely can. And don't even think about hiding in the daycare attendant's room. It's a mess, and the kind of mess that comes with a couple of intrusive roommates who you don't want to put up with. Speaking of backstage, by the way, there's a lot of back rooms located in the Pizzaplex, connecting the various attractions and even looping behind the stage. In some of these, you can even find more couches and pretty good hiding spots. This would reasonably be an excellent place to hole up, especially with the lack of human staff. However, there is a catch. Getting into many of these rooms would require security clearance, which requires security badge cards, which requires you to raid the security offices, which will immediately set off any animatronics in the vicinity. It is doable, but let's make the well-educated guess that it will take you at least a week or more to acquire these badges in a way that won't get you caught. So in the beginning, likely off limits, but more doable later on. This goes for any backstage warehouses too. The basement has a similar issue, but also an even bigger one. Once you get under the pretty mask of the Pizzaplex, you will find an ugly face. And things roam around down there that can and will take you apart first and ask questions later. If you are going to survive, it is in your best interest to stay above ground and in the primary Pizzaplex. The only exception would be the kitchen and the nearby areas around it. But that's only if you can get the elevator working. Not the one from the lobby, but the one that's hidden behind the kitchens. Just don't stay down there constantly. Lastly, the roof. The roof is not accessible unless you use a fire escape, which will likely activate the fire alarm if you can even get the door open. Only use that escape if you're calling it quits, because elsewise you're going to have a hard time getting back in and avoiding detection a second time. So that basically covers the major locations of the Pizzaplex. Now onto the aspect of surviving there. But there's one very important thing that you need to know about the Pizzaplex before going forward, and that's that every hour there is a Pizzaplex-wide recharge. All of the animatronics supposedly go to a recharge station, and all of the lights go out, or at least dim. This only lasts some minutes, so it doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but it will be. Don't trust the dark in the Pizzaplex. The best way to handle this is to watch the clock and have a good place to hide before the recharge starts. Or if you have a good hideaway established, go in there and don't come out until the lights are back on. Hiding is very important because the staff bots have a very short memory, but the animatronics don't. Once they see you a couple of times, they'll know you're there for good. There's one or two who you might be able to convince that this was a mistake, a one-time thing, and get off the hook with. But not only will that probably get you caught by the singular human security guard, we'll cover her later, but they're not going to buy it twice. This goes double or nothing for the daycare attendant. He sees you once and he's going to be showing up a lot. So if you hear an animatronic coming, you hide. Anywhere. You're too big to climb into baby carriages and behind potted plants, but photo booths, counters, and corners are fair game. But what do you have to hide from is the big question. So without further ado, time to get into the actual thing you've been worried about. Part 2. The Animatronics. The staff and entertainers of the Pizzaplex who roam at night looking for intruders, and just kinda hanging out. Thankfully, they are not all created equal. We'll go through each one, how friendly or dangerous they are, how to avoid them, and what to do if you end up getting cornered by them. Let's start with the most common bot you'll encounter and the lesser threat of the Pizzaplex, the staff bots. Throughout the Pizzaplex, regardless of where you go, you will often run into staff bots. Some are security drones who circle the building looking for intruders, though they are on a set path. You will need to learn their patterns and avoid them, as they will not notice you unless you fall under their flashlight sensor. And even then, they have short attention spans if you can get away from them. Other staff bots, such as mop bots and chef bots, will seemingly leave you alone unless you engage with them by getting in their way, so simply stay out of their way and you won't have any problems. Party bots who guard the attractions still function past closing, and giving them a party pass will trigger them to let you into any attraction, so don't be afraid to approach if you find a pass. And that is a party pass. Party pass opens attractions, photo pass opens Rockstar Row, daycare pass lets you into the daycare. Now, staff bots don't have much personality beyond the ones they are pre-assigned, and you won't be able to reason with them. If you have a Fazer Blaster or Fazcam, usually found confiscated in Monty Golf, you can stun them, but otherwise the best way of getting them off your back is to not give them a reason to be on it. Learn their patterns, avoid contact, and you'll be fine. There's also endoskeletons in the basement that are a little unhinged. Normally they're supposed to be deactivated, but recently they've been getting up on their own and wandering about. And they can be aggressive if they come into contact with humans. Somehow they know to stop when they're being looked at though, so if you encounter one, do that and get away quickly. They sometimes climb up into the higher areas of the Pizzaplex too, but they only seem to do this when something's initially stirred them up downstairs. Try to avoid them and they'll forget all about you. They don't even know who they are yet. It's when we get to the Glamrocks that we have the issues of bots being intelligent enough to remember your face and know you're not supposed to be there. Starting with the star himself, Glamrock Freddy. Freddy is a tall, bear-themed animatronic with a bulky build. Despite this, he's able to run pretty fast and his fists could pack a punch. Not that he would use them. Glamrock Freddy is quite personable, kind and approachable, and is likely the one animatronic who will assume that you're in there on accident first and foremost, and probably believe you if you say that you are. Now, that doesn't mean that Freddy will let you off the hook for trespassing. He is proud of the Pizzaplex, if somewhat oblivious to the dangers there, but it does mean running into Freddy isn't as risky unless he's glitching out. You'll likely run into him in the Atrium or in Fazer Blast, or in Rockstar Row if you wander over in that direction. The easiest way to subdue him is to be nice and lie through your teeth. Explain that this is an accident, you accidentally got stuck inside. He might even try to help you get out if it's before midnight, and you can likely convince him not to contact security. He might even cover for you, help you get food. The problem is that if you keep running into Freddy after the first night, he will catch on. And at that point, lying to him is probably going to make him see you as the bad guy. So your best bet would be to befriend Freddy. Reason with him. Come up with a sob story. He will help you. But don't get too close, because if he does glitch out, you're in serious trouble. Also, Freddy's a terrible, terrible liar. If anybody finds out that you're here and asks him, he might cover, but he's probably going to cover pretty badly. So odds are they'll probably figure out that you're in cahoots with him. And above all, do not make enemies with Freddy. Freddy is very nice, like I said, but he strikes me as at least like the type who could go good cop really easily, and if he thinks you're the bad guy, he'll be thumping on your heels, snatch you up, and drag you right to the security guard. So don't mess with Freddy. Freddy's weaknesses are his good nature and getting shot in the eyes with laser guns and camera flashes. You would think for the mascot of the laser tag that he would have protection against this, but alas, he does not. On the whole, Freddy is not a huge threat, save the fact that once you catch his attention, you probably won't shake him too easily.
Although we have just met, I know I am in good hands. After all, you are a Fazbear technician, are you not?
Glamrock Chica, on the other hand, is exceptionally persistent. Rather friendly in the marketing and usually spouting out bubbly pleasantries, Chica can become almost zombie-like and desperate when food is involved. And don't let her being slightly more slender than Freddy fool you, she's just as strong. Chica will gorge herself on anything, trash, food, the trash that is considered food at the Pizzaplex, and she's always hungry. If you cook anywhere in the Pizzaplex, odds are that she will somehow smell it and be lured to the area, which is why it's such a danger to cook directly in the Atrium or to hang out at the cupcake shop. There is one possibility for dealing with Chica, and that is if she confronts you to ply her with food. Mention that you have come in because you're hungry and offer to make her some food too. I have a hunch that she'll be won over easily at the mention of fresh pizza, since you can figure out the automated pizza maker and she probably is programmed not to. Make her a couple of pizzas and suddenly she doesn't care if you're there after hours. If Chica eats enough, she might get logy or tired.
Now I feel all logy. Nap time.
Which can probably get her off your case. If you can convince her you're not a problem. It is very possible that under that all-consuming food addiction, Chica might be as pleasant as Freddy, so you'll have to appeal to that to get her off your tail. And unfortunately for her, that food addiction is all-consuming. Fortunately for you, I think the trick of buying her off with food might work repeatedly. The big problem with this approach is that you might start dealing with Chica hunting you down to give her food, even during the day. She might get demanding if you say no, and she still is a robot with enough strength to break you in two. She'll expose you unintentionally in her efforts to get her next fix. There's a reason they tell you not to feed the wild animals. The best thing to do is to avoid her at all costs, and that means being careful with where you go and how you prepare your food. Despite Mazercise themed around Chica, she likely will appear more in the cupcake shop and around any restaurants and near any open garbage. Yes, also dispose of your garbage properly and far from your hideout. And both the Fazer Blaster and Fazcam work on her.
What you making over there? Is that for me?
Next up is Montgomery Gator, and Monty is what you would expect. That is, if he sees you, he is going to probably start swinging first and ask questions later. Or if it's a good day, he might charge up to you and get a question in first before the claws come out. See, Monty has some anger issues, and likely if he identifies you as a trespasser, that'll set him off. Especially if he catches you wandering around Monty Golf, his personal hunting ground. Don't let the laid-back Gator advertising fool you. Monty is a hothead and has the strength to back it up. Alas, that head's a little full of hot air too. He might try to pull a fast one on you, like trying to spot you from a vantage point. But if he gets too angry, he will go into a blind rage that you can use to your advantage, if you can get some distance in between you. But you do not want to get to that point. Monty's brute strength isn't something to be trifled with. So talking him down first is the best option if you do get caught. And he does have a good weak spot. Andrew says that Monty has a little bit of a superiority complex. He's apparently envious of Freddy's position. Shocking, I know, since he took Bonnie's position. Maybe that's why he still wears his sunglasses. Anyway, that mixed with Monty being a little bit of a meathead makes me think that maybe flattery is the way to go. But very specific flattery. Misdirect his suspicions by using his rivalry with Freddy as a cover. Something like, "I told that stupid bear that I got stuck in here and he believed me, but I really came to see you because you're so cool. I don't understand why you're not the star." If he starts asking questions or getting steamed up, always direct to Freddy. "Well, I didn't plan on sticking around, but Freddy XXX. He said I couldn't see you, but I really wanted to." Remember, Monty's not the sharpest tool in the box, but he knows you're not supposed to be there. You gotta appeal to him if you're going to keep him from seeing you as a target to take his anger out on. Heck, he might actually be so flattered that he gives you a free pass for the night. However, like Freddy, he might eventually pick up if you keep showing up, and if your flattery is too excessive or timed wrong, he might get angry. It's a gamble, so remember, the best option is always to not get caught, because on a bad day he won't stop for conversation, and even if you do win him over once you lose him, you probably won't get him back. Unless you really convince him, in which case, congratulations, you bagged a bassist. Just remember that due to his sunglasses, he cannot be stunned with cameras or laser guns. He is also capable of jumping very high, punching open fences with ease, and once he's set off, it takes him a very long time to cool down.
Party time!
Next is Roxanne Wolf, the cool one, the lone wolf, with the flowing hair and the cool tail and the very impressive eyes. She's awesome. But don't think she's going to be cool with you just running around in here. Roxy is the apex hunter here because not only does she have a great sense of smell, is capable of pouncing, and can run pretty fast, but she has special eyes that allow her to see through walls. Now these eyes apparently don't see that far, as she'll only notice you if you're standing somewhere close, or maybe it's a matter of what material you're hiding behind. But just know that she has the capability to make your life incredibly difficult, and possibly short. Roxy's weak spot is her pride. She takes compliments well and gets offended easily, and that'll help you since she will be just if not more suspicious of you than Monty will. If you get cornered by Roxy, flattery is again your go-to, but she isn't as easily swayed as Monty, and she won't buy any lies, so you have to be totally committed and convincing. She loves attention, especially when you compliment her hair, but she's probably going to see through your sugaring her up. So be more restrained and subtle. At some point, try to throw in, "I never thought I'd meet the Roxanne Wolf. You're the coolest," or something along those lines. She might shoot you down, but trust me, she loves it. Though if you do say anything stupid and she starts getting offended, you roll over instantly. She could claw you apart in seconds, or at least kick your asphalt all up and down her track. Don't ever argue with her. She's always right. And don't try to outrun her either, because she will catch you, and because you'll immediately look guilty. And then how will you date her?
Want an autograph?
Roxy strikes me as the loyal type once you gain her trust, which isn't easy to get, mind you. You might have to work for it. Same goes for Freddy. You get these two on your side and you're set. Though there is a risk involved with befriending or lying to all of the Glamrocks. Assumedly, one of them will slip up and they will start taking notes. Best case scenario, you've charmed all of them and they're willing to let you stay. Worst case, and most likely case, they start taking notes, especially if Monty tells Freddy what you said about him, because Freddy will end up telling everyone exactly what really happened, and they will decide you're a liar, lose all trust in you, and team up to track you down. at which point it's fire escape time. But the Glamrocks aren't the only animatronics. We also have the daycare attendant, also known as your worst nightmare. No joke, this Chester is going to give you a really hard time. Starting with the sun. Now I know what you're thinking. This bouncy goofy guy, he's the type who'd whisk you off to a plastic table for craft time and puppet shows, snack times and silly stories, and all sorts of fun that your inner child will embrace with delight. There's just one problem. You're not a child, which means that you get to see the more, adult side of Sun. No, not like that. I mean, Sun is an overworked and underappreciated babysitter who isn't paid at all, let alone enough to deal with some kidult who's trying to squat in his daycare. He can be a fussy perfectionist who wants to keep everything in order and the lights on. In fact, you could probably tip over a barrel tower or spill some paint, and Sun would be forced to clean up, giving you a second to get away, but you do not want to do that. Sun is such a wound-up, clock-watching, anxious mess that if you set him off, you will get bum-rushed out of the daycare, and he will then tattle the security, and then you're screwed.
Oh, you are banned from the daycare.
So first off, avoid the daycare. If you can't, or if you're willing to test your luck, be nice to the Sun and don't provoke him. Politeness is appreciated. Flattery will probably be soaked up like a sponge. Don't refer to him as an it. In fact, you might just want to ask him what his actual name is before you start calling him anything. I've narrowed it down to either Sun, Sunny Drop, or Dayman. I feel like with the right amount of care and compassion, you could befriend him. He's probably pretty lonely and would appreciate a friend who could speak to him on an adult level. But that can never be, because of Moon. Moon is the exact opposite of Sun, crawling around the Pizzaplex with a red glint in his eye and an evil cackle. By the way, both are extremely dexterous and will be able to chase you all over the place. And that's part of the reason why Moon will give you the biggest headache, because once he finds out that you're in there, rest assured that he will be actively hunting you every chance he gets, every night, every hour, until he finds you. Now you might think that this wouldn't be too bad because of the hourly recharge. It doesn't last that long. Except, Moon is like a Doberman. He will find you minutes after the recharge starts on the clear other side of the Pizzaplex. That's why you don't want to wander around during a recharge. He will pop up out of nowhere and chase. And he is fast, he is agile, and he is very capable of putting you into a permanent dirt nap. Now, I have a theory, just a theory, but maybe pretending to be asleep would keep Moon off your back. He's obsessed with going to sleep and taking a nap, so we're banking on that nap time programming making him chill out when he thinks you're asleep. It might work if you're really desperate. But never let Sun know that you're faking. We don't know how separate these two are. It's possible that Moon might be able to pick up on information that Sun knows, in which case, you will not fool him twice. Secondly, avoid the daycare. The Fazer Blaster and Fazcam don't seem to work on them. Well, flashlights do seem to work on Moon, but there's only so many messes you can make to get away. But once you set them off, once they're aware of you, you're entering nightmare mode. You will never be hidden enough for Moon to not eventually locate you. And the unfortunate truth is befriending Sun likely won't get Moon to back off. So you better be very sure you know what you're doing before you waltz into that daycare. You can get Roxy's Rockin' Nachos somewhere else.
Good night.
Now, where the daycare attendant looks like a joke and the joke's on you, the DJ looks like a monstrously large threat but is instead one of the animatronics who will give you the least trouble. DJ Music Man is the DJ and bouncer of the West Arcade. Despite being a giant spider, the DJ is one of the smallest threats you might encounter as, unless he's triggered into bouncer mode somehow, he won't be too concerned with you running around the West Arcade. And he can't leave the West Arcade anyways. He spends most of his time napping on the main stage, and when he does wake up, he goes right into DJing, content to keep to himself even when he sees someone wandering around. He is a very nice fellow. Heck, if you win him over enough, he might even give you some DJing lessons on the house, or at least turn down the music to let you sleep. Become friendly enough and he might even be able to help you set up your bass in the back hall, which he has access to. DJ Music Man could make for an excellent roommate. But if there is a security issue or a power outage or anything of the like, there's a chance the DJ's defective bouncer mode will take hold, and he will start to come after you. And don't let his size fool you, he is built to move, to climb on the walls in the West Arcade and scoot into the big maintenance tunnels. You're not safe anywhere, even the bathrooms. He will physically reach inside and try to grab you, and even though he probably can't, this is a quick way to get caught by the morning staff when they come in to see Music Man elbow deep in the John. So yes, that is a big risk, but not a consistent one. You might go for a while without having that bouncer mode triggered, as long as no rabbits show up and start poking around and you stay out of the security office. And if it does activate, you can just get yourself out of the West Arcade. He can't follow you. The elevators didn't used to stop during the lockdown, so they might still work. I'm not sure if they do now, but just wait for him to reboot and come back in. Befriending the DJ is probably easy, and he likely won't rat you out, especially since he can't physically speak, so he can't actually tell anyone where you are, unless he picks you up and carries you to them, but he likely won't. Too much work. Needs another nap first. Could be a good buddy. Speaking of security, our next subject is not an animatronic, unless there's something I'm not aware of, but is a threat nonetheless. The singular night guard, Vanessa. Vanessa is very sketchy. No nonsense. She will turn you over to the police immediately if she catches you, and if you try to fight back, likely you'll be looking at an assault charge. Best to avoid. But it is possible that you could maybe, if she didn't know you were wandering around at night, get close to her during the day? Perhaps befriend her? Normally I wouldn't suggest that, but I have a feeling Vanessa is in a little bit of a bind right now. I mean, of course she is. She's working at Freddy's. Nobody willingly works at Freddy's. Remember Jeremy? But Vanessa is surprisingly not the only woman at the Pizzaplex you have to worry about, curiously enough. There is a similarly named rabbit woman named Vanny disguising herself as an animatronic. But she is not. Before we move on, I need to warn you that the Pizzaplex has been a little strange recently. Some of the others go through periods of acting especially aggressive, and I am absolutely sure it has to do with this strange lady in the white rabbit suit skipping around. She goes by the name Vanny, and she is the reason to avoid Vanessa at night. Don't be fooled by her appearance. Vanny is an enemy to all. She is able to overtake the programming of an animatronic, especially staff bots, and she has been actively kidnapping children. Children who have not come back from wherever she's taken them. So how do you deal with a threat of this size? Well, lucky for you, you might have it covered. See, Vanny used to have a knife, but she must have lost it somewhere. Now she's typically weaponless, and without a weapon, she's just a slender woman in a suit. You're gonna have to take her out. The head's going to deflect punches, so go straight for the gut. Give her a quick knee and throw her to the floor. There you go, threat dealt with for the night. And don't worry about the assault charge. An assailant in a bunny suit running around at night when you accidentally got locked in? No worries, it's self-defense. But in any case, Vanny won't be going to the cops. Trust me, and she won't come back until tomorrow. But you just have to keep asserting your dominance with these rabbits. If you don't show them what you're made of, they're just going to keep pushing you around. Just ask Monty. He knows exactly how that feels. Also, if you just happen to find the missing children, then perhaps you can save them. Though likely you can't. Also, before I forget, don't play any VR games, don't put on any VR masks, and don't sign any sketchy paperwork at the Pizzaplex. But there's another threat in the Pizzaplex, one even bigger than Vanny or the legal system. It's called the Mimic, and it lives in the depths underneath the pizzeria. Seemingly contained in the pizzeria beneath this one, the Mimic lies dormant until someone lets it out. You won't make it down far enough to find him, but if he somehow gets out, he could easily rip you apart. There's only one way to deal with a threat like the Mimic. You've got to beat up Vanny. See, Mimic always mimics the biggest threat. If it witnesses you suplexing Vanny, it's going to know you're boss and start mimicking you, and God willing, it doesn't want to replace you and tries to kill you for it. It may become somewhat obedient even. Or at least you might have a buddy joining you for your run around the Pizzaplex. But again, please don't seek out the Mimic. There's a reason it's down there. And that's... Also, there is a creature that sleeps underneath the Pizzaplex. A giant, terrifying beast. It goes by many names. The Blob, the Tangle, but it is not supposed to be there, and you're not supposed to see it. If you see it, don't bother it. We leave it alone. It's dangerous. Now, with the animatronic threats out of the way, it's time to get into your survival at the Pizzaplex. Let's start with the food. Part 3. Food. Any schmuck who wanders in can find a bag of chips or a candy bar sitting out, but if you're planning on long-term survival, you're gonna need real food. Nutrients, vitamins, so you don't get scurvy. When's the last time you've eaten an orange? But thank goodness you're at the Pizzaplex, right? Well, you may mistakenly believe that food is everywhere. Sure it is, there's a lot of restaurants, but there is a huge catch. The moment you start cooking anything, you have a big target over your head. Glamrock Chica is lured in by the cooking, and she can smell pretty well, so you have to take care. The easiest solution does seem to be living off of the snacks, and that will sustain you for a while. Good places to find snacks would be at the snack space, located outside of Fazer Blast in the corner of the Atrium, and surrounded by a few good hiding spots. And the prize counter upstairs, which seems like it just has snacks lying around. It's probably best to keep closed snacks on you for a quick boost, but once you open them, make sure to keep them away from your shelter. As for real food, the best chance you have is surprisingly the Faz-Pad out in the lobby. Despite being a cafe, the Faz-Pad sells a large amount of vegetables, beans, starches, and so on. It would be easy to walk into the kitchen and cook yourself up something reasonably healthy, and due to the location, it's less likely that Chica's going to smell you cooking. And if she does, the kitchen has 2 exits. As long as you hear her coming, you can slip out the other way and hide elsewhere until she leaves. And if you really do want to live dangerously, another possibility is to go downstairs and make yourself a pizza using the Pizzaplex's automated equipment. However, Chica will find you, so the best chance you have is to make a decoy pizza or to make a large pizza and swipe a slice before bolting. With any luck, Chica will get distracted with the remaining pizza and will not notice you at all. In fact, even if she does notice you, she's liable to forget when presented with a pizza to gorge on, so just don't be too obvious. L-Chips is another place where you can make food using the automated facilities, but being out in the Atrium, Chica's still a huge risk. And also, you can't always guarantee a quick run to the bathroom if L-Chips decides to make a sudden exit through the back door, if you catch my meaning. On the drink side of things, there's pretty much nothing but Fizzy Faz, Soda-Roni, or other soft drinks all over the place. Unless you want to make something like a latte, but again, that involves using the equipment. To spare yourself the joy of possible kidney stones, your best bet is to get a bottle of water and just keep refilled and on hand. There's plenty of bathrooms, so water isn't too hard to come by. Just don't drink from any decorative reservoirs or the water in Monty Golf. Well, that should cover that. Well, and once again, one last reminder to not leave any food out in the shelter unless you have it lure in Chica or Mop Bots to clean up, which will get you found out. Speaking of which, Part 4. Shelters. There's 2 ways you can go about survival in the Pizzaplex. Option A is to move the location of where you're staying every night, while option B is to have a hidden shelter where you go back to rest. There's pros and cons to both. The pros to the nomadic lifestyle is that you're constantly moving, so you're less likely to get caught, and you'll have less chance of losing your supplies if you get cut off from your singular shelter. The cons are that you have to lug all your stuff around with you, and you don't have the stability of a singular home base. The pros to the shelter lifestyle include having the home base that you can set up with various comforts, including a nice bed you don't have to tote around with you. You can but shouldn't have a stash of snacks and drinks, but might also have other supplies hidden away. And it would be a good place to disappear if someone gets suspicious. The cons are that you could risk getting yourself cornered, and like I said earlier, if you are cut off from your shelter, you might not only lose everything, but get exposed in the process. But either way, you will need to adopt one of these lifestyles because you cannot live without sleep, and sleeping during the day or night isn't always guaranteed. If the nomadic lifestyle, you'll likely have to move during the day and get in naps at night, while with the shelter lifestyle, you might be able to squeeze in naps during the day, but may be stuck wherever you're hidden. You could also technically create a third lifestyle that has an established shelter, but with you frequently moving around separate from it. Just find what works. But here are some options for shelter locations and good places to sleep. In my opinion, as you might have heard before, one of the best places for a permanent shelter is the storage hallway in the West Arcade. It's big, loaded with arcade cabinets to hide behind, and your only risk is the DJ, and only when he's in bouncer mode. And only if he knows to seek you out when he is. You can make a little shelter in the back corner, preferably in the midst of some of the arcade cabinets. It's dark enough to rest easily. Likely human staff isn't coming here. I suspect DJ Music Man himself might be the one in charge of moving the busted arcade cabinets in here. And if something is following you from downstairs, you can likely lose them in the West Arcade before heading to your shelter. Another possible hiding spot would be in the room in the back of the Glamrock beauty salon, but this one's a little more risky. It basically relies on the idea that Roxy patrolling the area will inadvertently guard you by keeping the others out and not knowing you're there. But you will have to be squeaky clean so she doesn't smell you. I don't think she heads into the dirty back room, but you can't be too sure that human staff might not in the daytime hours either. As I mentioned earlier, Bonnie Bowl has Bonnie's Green Room, and the Fazbear Theater basement is also a possibility, but I really don't recommend it. The basement area too has plenty of places to hide and the random couch here or there, but the increased risk of being caught by endos makes it a gamble. Besides, the grime, garbage, and humidity is probably not a good environment to live in. The prize corner is, well, not a good place for a shelter with all the attention it gets during the day, but a night-only shelter would be doable. Just hide all your stuff in a vent or somewhere no one's going to see, and you're good to go. But that's just for shelters. If you're looking for a quick place where you can get away for a nap, there's plenty more. And I'm not going to be covering all of the closets you can try to squeeze into or counting sleeping on the bathroom floor. The West Arcade again comes in clutch with the karaoke rooms and their comfy couches. Plus, they're located upstairs, so it's slightly less likely that a Glamrock will waltz up there and go to check a karaoke room on a whim. The only problem is that the karaoke rooms are a little bright. You'll have to throw something over your face. Then there's Mazercise. Like I said, you could probably hide out in the maze and sleep in some of the stinky pillows. And there's a good chance this is hidden enough that Moon won't be able to find you during the hourly recharge. You'll need another eye cover though, and you have to get up and out before the employees come in and start working. If they move the maze with you in it, you could be woken up by a loud crunch, and then once again, night-night forever. Moving back downstairs to Monty Golf, you could probably sleep in a little shack if you brought something soft with you or inside of his fake trailer, though both would probably be pretty tight, especially the trailer. And it might not be so fun with Monty trying to climb in after you. The daycare is built to be napped in, but absolutely do not, unless by some stroke of luck the daycare attendant is not there. The same thing for Rockstar row green rooms. You never know when the Glamrocks will appear, so you must resist the temptation of the puffy couch and pillows, the thick curtains to block the windows. It's a big risk. But I think that covers the sleeping arrangements. Now on to the next important topic. Part 5. Hygiene and Health. It'll only take a few days of wearing and sweating through the same clothes before you start getting grimy and smelly. Not only will this affect your health and quality of life, but animatronics like Roxy will literally sniff out an intruder, so reeking to high heaven will get you found. So you need to stay clean and clothed. Starting with cleanliness, the most obvious solution is to wash up in a bathroom with a sponge bath. But that might not do the job. Thankfully, the Pizzaplex is actually stocked with showers. There's a large employee shower room located downstairs by the kitchen, right through the loading dock. If you can reach the kitchen, odds are you can make your way to the shower room nearby. There's even a laundry room right beside it. However, the laundry room is stacked with staff bots, so you'll have to be careful. Other than this, there is another place to shower and wash your clothes, and that's located in the Daycare Theater basement. There's washers and dryers down there, likely to clean costumes, and even a large showering area that is most likely for cleaning props, but it'll work in a cinch. And few staff bots. Though endos might show up, but they're not the big problem. Once again, the big problem is the daycare attendant. Imagine scrubbing yourself down with some Faz-Tastic 5-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, body wash, exfoliator, dishwashing fluid, Freddy orange scented, and you hear a jingle, and you look up, and there's the moon, staring down at your moon. Yeah, washing in the sink isn't sounding so bad. And as for clothes, eventually you might want to wear something different. Well, don't worry, the Pizzaplex has you covered. They make Freddy licensed clothes for all sizes, not just kids. Get yourself an adult Freddy onesie and some Monty glow-in-the-dark shoes. Remember, it's not stealing if the clothes don't leave the Pizzaplex. Also, you can always raid the lost and found if no one's in there. And while you're at it, pick up a licensed toothbrush and a tube of toothpaste. Keep those pearly whites shining since there's no dentist staff bot to keep the cavities away for you. There's even pizza-flavored toothpaste. And speaking of health, odds are that being in a location that sees hundreds, if not thousands of people a day, you might get sick, or get cut, or scraped, or bumped, or concussed. Thankfully, Freddy's does have first aid stations, and kits too, located at every attraction. A bit hidden though. Unfortunately, the only notable stations that come to mind are located in the basement, so it's probably best to stick to kits. Take a few Rockstar Freddy's chill cooling chewables for children, and remember you're wearing a onesie and light up sneakers, and slap a couple of band-aids on it. Then you walk it off, champ. That goes for cuts, bumps, and bruises too. Anything life-threatening, do not go to security and be wary of calling 911. Not even about being caught. They probably won't even make it in the building. Emergency exits include the fire escape from the prize counter and the loading docks beside the kitchen in the basement. Though what I failed to mention earlier is that there is a security clearance on the emergency exits. Not sure what bonehead thought that was a good idea. Probably a rabbit. But if you're able to get that clearance, then you'll be able to get out. And if you do feel like dying is an inevitable fate, please do us all a favor. Not in the ball pit or near any animatronics. Please. Well, I think that wraps up everything you need to know. Unless you're looking for an animatronic wooing and dating guide, just know that you can't propose to any of the animatronics until you get the engagement chip in the summer. Anywho, here's a few simple rules to remember. Rules for safety. 1. Don't get caught. 2. Don't try to fight the animatronics. 3. Sleep when you can. 4. Don't poop on the floor. 5. Keep a balanced diet. 6. Keep yourself clean. 7. Stay away from the daycare. And 8. Stay hidden, stay safe. And if you follow these rules, surely you will have a long and healthy life in the Mega Pizzaplex. Though believe me, it's much easier said than done. And if you don't believe me, then before you're ready to commit to your possible doom, why not take a test ride on my newest little dice game? First off, roll 1 through 6 to see what special item you brought with you. If you rolled a 1, you've brought a heavy-duty flashlight which only needs to be charged once every couple of days. Works on Moon, works on staff bots to confuse them if flashed fast enough. If you roll a 2, you bring a sleeping bag. Now you can sleep comfortably anywhere, but you will have to wake up early to pack up and not let anybody see it. 3, you bring a bottle of Fazbear and Friends multivitamins. Now you can pop one of these babies, eat a bunch of junk food, and probably be okay. Roll a 4 and you bring a screwdriver. Now you can make your way through the vents. Just be careful, it'll be a tight squeeze. And I've been hearing some suspicious if soothing music box music coming from there. Roll a 5, you were going to bring something, but you left it at home. Sorry. Roll a 6, you planned ahead. You're starting out with a level 5 security clearance pass and 2 party passes. The Pizzaplex is yours to explore. On your first night, you will be forced to encounter an animatronic. This animatronic will be very important. If you roll a 1, it's Glamrock Freddy. If you roll a 2, it's Chica. Roll a 3, it's Monty. 4, it's Roxy. 5, it's the Sun. And 6, it's DJ Music Man. Now quick, roll again. Remember that animatronic you just got? Well, if you rolled even, they're your new bestie and they will be your companion. All have pros, but some have cons as well, such as the DJ being stuck in the West Arcade and Sun coming with Moon attached. Also, if you do roll a 5 even for the Sun companion, you get another roll. If you roll 1 through 5, it's still Sun. If you somehow roll a 6, you actually befriend Moon instead. Someone listening to this guide will be befriending the Moon. And if you rolled an odd number, you failed the speech check. Said animatronic is now your adversary, intent on catching you and bringing you to the security guard. They will be searching for you always. If it's Freddy, may God have mercy on your soul. He isn't exactly dangerous, but he is persistent. Now this next roll is the big one. You'll need either 2 dice or 1 12-sided dice, which you can find online. You will roll it, or them, 4 times, and you will get 4 ordeals that you will have to endure at some point at your time at the Pizzaplex. Think of them as mini adventure prompts to get you started on your way. Ready? Here you go. Here are the events and rolls you have to get them. If you roll the same event twice, then roll again. Roll a 2. Rockstar Row is undergoing renovations, which means the animatronics will be outside of their green rooms for the entire night and will be spending more time passing through the Atrium. Roxy and Monty will also be more agitated. Roll a 3. A bad storm has caused a major blackout. There's some low lighting, but Moon's going to be out all night. Can you avoid him? Roll a 4. While scrounging in Bonnie Bowl, you accidentally dump a bag of Monty Mystery Mix, the disgusting pizza-flavored soda drink, yes, that's real, over you. Now Chica is on your trail, and she's not just going to catch you, she might very well eat you, or at least your really nice not stolen clothes. She's on your tail unless you can figure out a way to get this stuff off, or get rid of her, perhaps. Roll 5. Glamrock Mr. Hippo is being tested and will be in the Atrium. He is very friendly and you may try to befriend him, but he's also a windbag who randomly chimes his triangles and may follow you around like a lost puppy, so good luck. Also, Monty hates him. Roll 6. The heating went out in the entire Pizzaplex. Do you dare head down to the massive boiler room to try to restart it, confronting the tangles of whatever waits down there? Or do you huddle up and try to survive in the frigid temperature? Depending on your situation, you might not have a choice. Roll a 7. The tiny DJ Music Man body has come in. For tonight only, DJ Music Man can follow you around the building. Have you befriended him? Or is he yet another enemy you must avoid? Roll 8. You have found a crash coin. You can deposit these into the backs of most Glamrocks and they will crash for the night, leaving their attraction up for grabs. Who will you target? Chica, Roxy, or Monty? How will you even get close? Is it even worth it? Roll a 9. You have found a very special VIP tablet, and the very important pig mascot on it is asking for you to play a game to win points at the various attractions. If you refuse or fail, he's going to rat you out to security in the Glamrocks. Do you make it? Roll a 10. The prize counter staff bot is currently 95% off. You only need 25,000 tickets to get your own staff bot. You'll have to play a bunch of games if you're going to win the bot. But alas, it seems like the noise has riled up Monty, and he's in the East Arcade smashing cabinets. Moon's up here too. Will you risk it for the staff bot? And if you succeed, what do you name your new staff bot? Roll 11. You've somehow gotten locked into the parking garage, and now there's a very familiar white rabbit skipping around. And she has a very sharp pizza cutter. Can you survive 6 hours hiding between and behind the dozens and dozens of mysteriously abandoned cars? Roll a 12. The Mimic is currently loose in the building. It's not just a threat to you this time. Is it worth risking your own security to team up with someone? Say the blonde security guard who seems to know a little too much about the Mimic? Or is it worth sleeping in tonight? And if you do you wake up to it standing above you? If you're rolling a 12-sided die and roll a 1, just roll again. And there you go. Let's see what adventure you concoct, and let's see how you'll manage these difficult situations, because believe me, being at the Pizzaplex would be 6 to 12 times more difficult. But I hope you had some fun with these scenarios. I know I certainly did, or I would have if I willingly stayed overnight at the Pizzaplex, but I didn't, and to tell you the truth, I don't recommend it. The place is as dangerous as all get out. You have both mindless animals wanting to tear you apart and intelligent bots who can remember you, get offended, and then tear you apart. Not to mention the sinkhole is getting worse. Any day now the whole thing's just going to collapse in on itself, and you probably don't want to be staying overnight when that happens. But I can't stop you, so if you insist, take my advice and think smart about your stay. Oh, and if you ever do come to the Pizzaplex and decide to try the overnight every night challenge, and just happen to find a security radio, give me a call. My frequency is FZ554. Good luck out there, and smile. You're living the dream. The Faz-tastic dream. Trademark Fazbear Entertainment.